Hello guys, I'm back from another video and today we're talking about what if Belle had the ability to summon heroic spirits. So in the last video we talked about how after packing all of their things and saying a pretty interesting situation, you would see a few of the members of the Loki Familia, let's just say doing something hilarious to him. Or at least in his mind. Apparently, one of the members was beeping on some of the female members, and now he's about to be hanged. You know, yeah, and let's just say some of the members are trying to stop her, aka the wolf, the wolf, girl, aka the wolf demi-human one, is basically trying to choke him. And this person that was trying to pick on them was a dwarf. Yeah, let's just say, it was absolutely funny to him. While he was basically packing all of his things with the help of his, heroic spirits, Emia, Melusine, and Burgeist, unbeknownst to him, he was being watched by a half-elf. I meant a half-elf. Apparently, she kind of looks, kind of cute. She had, ginger hair and with bluish eyes. As while he was being watched by her, well, he would finish up packing all of their things and they would start to leave. After leaving the, village, they would notice, it was pretty much normal. And then they decided to rest and, have a grand old time. Maybe, a bit of drinking now and then. But after all of that, they would decide to get some sleep, as some of his heroic spirits would act as like lookouts in case of a monster basically arriving there and basically ruining their whole grand time. So after doing so, they would start going on the move again when it's finally up the morning. So after a while basically through the dirt road that they've been trekking through, they would finally arrive at the nearby inn. Not really an inn, but more like a tavern. And so everybody decided to, rest here for now to basically, have a, meal. Instead of cooking, they would decide to, eat from eat from the tavern instead. But when they walked in, they would notice the Loki Familia over there currently already in a fight. And apparently, the same wolf girl was basically fighting, the same wolf girl was fighting with another man, and apparently this man is a bit of a misogynist, and even saying that a little girl like her shouldn't be doing, quote-unquote man's work. Oh boy, let's just say, it's sort of pissed Izuku, I meant Belle off. But either way, they would decide to, eat there from now on. I meant, basically eat there to just ignore them for now. And so after getting their meals, they would start eating, but because Belle is pretty much a good boy at heart and not, a bit of a bitch cake over there like similar to, Gilgamesh, Gilgamesh regular, aka Gilgamesh Archer, he would decide to step in and decide to confront the guy. After saying that he was weak just because of his appearance, well, let's just say he was beaten to the ground thanks to help of his, thanks to the help of his gun. And after seeing him just single-handedly defeat the guy with just one attack, let's just say everybody was impressed. Including a certain, Amazon twin, which let's just say she was really happy that she's going to get a man right now. Oh boy, oh god. So, after, doing all of that, they would decide to leave, and after paying, they would start leaving to go to Rario. So yeah, we're gonna be ending, the explanation right off here. So yeah, that's basically what happened last episode. And so, let us talk about what happens next time. So, after a while basically in the carriage and, messing with some monsters and getting their monsters, which currently now they have a full-ass barrel of it. And so, after a bit of time and a bit of, going across different lands and even meeting a few people, which maybe they're gonna be significant to the story. Maybe. Yeah, no, they're probably gonna be NPCs at that point. So, and after a while, they would finally make it towards a large grassy plain. And in front of that grassy plain, or at least in the middle of it, was a large walled-off city. And a large tower in the middle, which Belle would recognize as Aurario. As, Belle would say this. Alright guys, we're here. As after saying that, everybody would basically, look over and would see the large city in front of them, as Emmy would say this. Huh, the city is quite beautiful to say the least, he would say, as Izuku would say this. Yeah, no kidding. Now, I should probably go into, probably get into a familiar right now, as he would say this. Specifically, as Emmy would say this. This familiar thing, is it similar to a servant pact or something? As after saying that, Belle would say this. Yeah, sort of, or at least I don't really know how a servant pact actually works. After explaining how it works, which is mostly about blood, Belle would say that it sort of is, where, gods and goddesses will have to put their blood on, the person's back, and it allows them to basically, give them skills, or at least, gain skills in the near future, or while they're leveling up. And so, after being told of this, they would decide to, after hearing that, they would try and find, Izuku a somewhat, great, familia for them to basically join. Definitely not something like, after hearing a bit of rumors, yeah, they're definitely not going to join the Apollo familia for obvious reasons. So, yeah, after, a while basically, going through the grassy plain, they arrive at the city gate. As some of the, guardsmen would basically say this. Ah, new people here. Huh, you're pretty new here. As Belle would say this. Yeah, I actually want to live here for a while now, so yeah, I decided to come here. As he would say this. Ah, I see, a newbie. Huh, better be careful. This place, even though it's quite wonderful, it sometimes has a bit of a reputation for some pretty shady things, he would say. As Belle would say this. Alright, I get it, he would say. And so, after saying that, he would basically be let into the city of Arario. And after, getting himself into the city, they would be blinded by some light as they would see the large, bustling city of Arario, as Melisine would just be amazed, like a kid in a candy store. As she would say this. Whoa. Hey, Burgess, she would say, as Burgess would say this. Yeah? As she would say this. You know what this reminds me of? It reminds me back at home, she would say, as Burgess would sigh as she would say this. Yeah, I guess, but without the whole slavery thing. As after hearing this, Belle would say this. What do you mean? As she would say this. Oh, nothing. Actually, we prefer not to talk about that all that much, she would say. As Belle would say this. I see. Anyway, we should probably start to get going. We should probably start to get going, he would say. And so, they would start to, go and land somewhere near a guild. As one of them would say this. Where are we, Belle? As Belle would say this. Oh, we're at the guild. As after hearing this, Emiya would speak up, as he would say this. As, Emiya would say this. A guild. So, is there some sort of thing for us to enter, or, as Belle would say this, no, we need to, get into a familia first, so I need to talk to, somebody that, will, contact some gods to basically let us into their familia. As he would say this. I see. And so they would start walking in. And when the people saw Belle and, the rest of his entourage, well, they would see this. Everybody would see, Belle, basically wearing the, black, not really black, but more like silver, helmet, as his, armor would look like this. Yeah, how does he have that? Well, it's sort of because, after defeating some of the, defeating some of those monsters from, from his younger days, well, he was given some armor, specifically this, and some clothing to basically rival some of the, let's just say, monsters. And also, I almost forgot to say this. Well, I forgot that, to say that he also got his, command seal, which resembles this. Yeah, a bit of a hodgepodge. Yeah, to say the least. But, I designed it. Super cool, by the way, and I sort of based it off, a bit of a concept art for, a bit of concept art for the original idea for it. Which, by the way, was just, Belle somehow stumbling upon, how his father was actually a mage from Fate Grand Order, or at least the Fate Grand Order verse. So, yeah, Yeah, and I imagine him actually being, sort of a vampire, maybe. Anyway, continuing on with the episode. So, as Belle basically walks in with the rest of his entourage, several of the people would just be there and would just look at them. As one of them would say this, huh, I wonder who the new guy's there. As one of them would say this, maybe they're a part of Familia already? As when Belle walks up to a receptionist, he would say this, can I please register to the guild? As one of them would say this, sorry sir, may I ask if you, have a Familia? Perhaps, she would start, becoming a little bit, she becomes a stuttering mess after seeing his, intimidating look. As he would say this, well, I'm not really a part of a familia. I'm not really a part of a familia yet, so, can you ask any, gods or goddesses nearby if they want a new member? As after hearing this, she would say this, sure, I can definitely do that. As when everybody heard this, they would think, he sounds pretty useful, all of them would say in unison. But before anything else, a few people would walk in. As these people would be, oh boy, the Loki Familia once again. As all of them would just walk in, as they would say this, we came back from our wondrous adventure, all of them would say, as everybody would start cheering for the Loki Familia, saying that they're back and saying, that their saviors are back. And some of his heroic spirits, specifically Belle's heroic spirits, would just say, are these seriously that popular? As one of them would say this, I think so, said Emiya. As, after a while basically cheering, one of them would notice that, Belle's there. Because they know that, he, wore that type of mask, or at least, wore that type of helmet, or at least, put it on his waist, or, holds it every time he would, went to eat. I forgot to say about that, or at least say something like that in the story, because at the time I was still drawing this. As after, looking at him, one of them would say this, wait a minute, one of them would say, as all of them would look over, as one of them would say this, wait, you're the guy that saved Bet. As all of them would, after hearing this, everybody would start looking at, the new member of the guild, aka Belle, as Belle would say this. Well, she is in trouble, so why not save her, he would say, as Bet would just stand up as she would say this. I don't need saving, besides, you're the one that needs saving, she would say, as Belle would say this. What is that supposed to mean, he would say, as she would say this. You're obviously pretty weak or something, she would say. And besides, you're not really that awesome or anything. Besides, I can totally handle myself, she would say. As Belle would say this. Yeah, sure, he would say. Anyway, I should be going. As the receptionist would say this. Oh, I'll surely contact you if anybody wants you to join their familia. I swear, she would say. As Belle would say this. Oh, thanks. After saying that, Tim and his entourage would start to leave. So, after, getting out of the guild, everybody, including the Loki Familia, would just say this. Well, that's quite a coincidence, one of them would say. Specifically, the perverted dwarf, as one of them would say this. Don't talk, you damn pervert, as he would say this. Come on, it was just, a little peek, he would say, as he would get punched right in the back by, by, let's just say, a random Familia member, as he would say this. You certainly are a pervert, he would say. As after saying that, he would say this. Come on, I just like nice guys. But before he can say anything else again, he's been kicked right in the balls by, by Bet, as she would say this. Stop talking about that, you damn pervert, she would say. As she would be, as he would be thrown across the room, as all of them would say this. Yeesh, that's gotta hurt, like all of them would say in unison. So, going back to Belle. So, as Belle is basically arriving at a little, I guess you say medieval style, medieval style, apartment, which, I mean, it's sort of an inn, but, you're basically able to pay and basically live there. So, after, walking in, Belle would basically ask the receptionist or the owner of the place if he can stay there for a while. After being told that he's going to be an adventurer and is planning to try and get into a familia, and after seeing his attire, well, you would definitely be convinced that he's definitely going to be an adventurer. I mean, he's definitely going to be an adventurer soon. I mean, look at him. Like, seriously. As after seeing him, he would say this, sure, I will, wait for a second, he would say, as he would start going towards, a little area, as he would, grab something nearby, as he would say this, here's the key. After, doing that, Bell would basically grab the key and would tell some of his friends to basically, aka his servants, to basically, come in immediately. And so they would basically stay in their room as Bell would say this. So, I'm. They said that they're gonna be, contacting us in about, a few days, as one of them would say this. Yeah, so what are we supposed to do by then? As Bell would say this. Well, how about you, wait for a second. Hey, Emiya, could you please get a job for us so you can, take care of us? I'll also get a job myself until we get into, until we get, some invitations to some familiars. And as for you, Melisande, you can just stay here. I mean, we don't really want to, we don't really want a kid to basically work. As she would say this. Well, touche, but I'm not a kid. I'm technically older than you, she would say. As Bo would say this. Excuse me, what? As he would say this. Specifically, Emiya. Yeah, she's actually older than you. As Burgess would say this. Yes, some people are pretty surprised after hearing that, she would say. As Bo would say this. Oh, okay. Anyway, Burgess, you're gonna be, bringing that barrel of monster crystals to the guild so you can get, some values out of that. She would say this. Sure, master, she would say. And so, after being told of this, they would start moving, doing their separate things to basically, get some, cash, as you can say. As for Bell, he would decide to stay in his room and would basically decide to get some sleep. So, after waking up, he would start going around the town and trying to find some jobs. He would find, a bit of like, of odd jobs, like for example, carrying in some stuff, basically acting as like a mover. Also, working as a part-time cook, sometimes, and also working as, a delivery man as well. But these were mostly, pretty cumbersome and pretty easy for him. After all, he basically has the ability to basically, use any type of magic thanks to the help of, a certain, Aleister Crowley, because, he was said to be, quite the powerful person back in the day. Even able to basically conjure up, aka, summon, the god Ra. And I could imagine that he can probably teleport himself anywhere that he wants. And so I could imagine that actually happening to him. So, as Bell is basically, teleporting around and basically delivering some stuff, it's been like a few days ever since they came here, and Bell would basically, after doing his job and getting paid, he would basically go back to, to the apartment building, as he would say this. Hey guys, you finished your job? He would say, as one of them would say this, specifically Burgess. Yeah, my, work is pretty much good, I guess. Apparently, she's been working as, a ring tamer for, for part-time in the, in the Ganesha Familia. I mean, she's not really a part of the Ganesha Familia, but she's working as a, sort of like, she acts as like, a representative or a, spokesperson to basically, actually it's more like a referee than anything else. She basically, entertains a crowd while the, battle basically rages on. Like, for example, a battle between, like, some guy and a monster. As for Emiya, Emiya has been working as a chef, and oh boy, let's just say that business over there is currently, booming over there. Let's just say that. And as for Melisande, Mel is just basically doing her own thing at that point, because she can't really get a job. So, as Bell basically, basically lays on his bed, he would say this. So, have we been contacted by, by the guild anyway? She would say this, specifically, Burgeist. Burgeist would say this. No, not really. Apparently they said they couldn't find any, gods that want to, join us. Apparently they were pretty full. Or, dealing with some other stuff, or, some of them even think that you're just, some, big shot or something. As Bell would say this. I see. Anyway, then, is there any other god there or anything? As one of them would say this. Oh yeah, said, Melusine. As Melusine would say this, I sort of met this, goddess, which is quite surprising because she's actually working at a potato shop. As after hearing this, Bo would say this. What? He would say, as she would say this. Yeah, apparently she works at a potato shop. Apparently she's so, let's just say weak that she couldn't get a familia at all. So I was wondering if we can, maybe join her familia. I mean, she did say that she doesn't have a familia at all. I mean, she barely has no members. And if she tries to get a member, well, let's just say the other gods would basically shut her down. As after hearing about this, Bo would say this. I see. Maybe we can do that. As after hearing this, one of them would say this. Ah, maybe we could. And so after saying that, Bo would say this. Alright, so where's this goddess exactly? As she would say this. She didn't really tell me her name, but apparently the locals call her Miss Hestia, which I think is probably her name, as one of them would say this. Hestia would say. As, Emiya would start, sit down as he would think to himself, specifically, so the goddess of the hearth, reduced to a whining child, he would say. As after thinking that, because, after hearing about her, home misfortune, well, he would start to think that that she's probably a whining child or something, or at least something of that sort. As Belle would say this. So, guys, I should probably get some sleep now. Ugh, I'm pretty tired after my job, he would say. As all of them would agree, and so all of them would fall to sleep. So, the next day has come, as Belle would be there, basically getting ready to go leave. Apparently he has apparently he doesn't have a job today, so he decides, apparently he doesn't have any work today because, apparently, it's finally somebody else's turn to basically work as, the delivery man this time. And so he would start leaving to go find this Hestia woman. So, after, a bit of, research and also a bit of help from the locals, apparently she's been working at a little, potato shop nearby. And is actually, nearby, a market district. Which she was also planning to go there to basically get some ingredients for some, well-earned breakfast. Not really breakfast, I mean lunch. So, as Bo would arrive at the, the large marketplace, he would start to hear the sounds of this. Get your potatoes, she would say, as Bo would look over and would see a girl with some sort of headpiece which resembles antennae. She seems to be short and somewhat, pretty short. As she also has a pretty enormous rack for a little child like her. Like, seriously, Jesus Christ. And she also seems to have dark hair, put into ponytails, as she would have blue eyes. As after seeing her, Bo would say this. So, that must be Hestia, he would say. After saying this, Bo would walk up to her, as she would say this. Do you want any potatoes, fine sir? She would say, as Bo would say this. Well, I wanted to ask, are you perhaps Miss Hestia, by any chance? As she would say this. Yeah. Why do you ask? She would say. As Bo would say this. Well, may I ask you if I could maybe join your familia? After hearing this, she would just be surprised as she would say this. When she would say this. Wait, really? Sure. I mean, I'm pretty happy that you decided to join me, but, some gods would probably hate you for basically joining me, as Bo would say this. Oh, nonsense. Besides, I can see, good in your heart, she would say. As after hearing this, she would say this. Sure. I guess you can, join my familia. Is there any others? As Bo would say this. Well, sort of. Let me just get them. Where do you want to meet up? As she says, well, this abandoned church, right? As Bo would say this. Yeah? And apparently, she's living there. Yeah, that definitely doesn't sound pretty good or safe at all. So, after being told of this, Bo would say goodbye to Hestia and would start to leave. So, after leaving and telling, his heroic experience about, his whole encounter with Hestia, they would decide to go to the, large-ass, building, or at least this, condemned building, which is the church, to basically, Hestia to join her familia. And so, later that night, he would start moving across the city as he's with his, his heroic spirits, as Bo would say this. So, this must be the place, eh? He would say, as he would also tell the, the guy, aka, the owner of the, sort of like, apartment complex that he's going to be living in the Hestia's, abode from now on. After being told of this, he would say goodbye to the guy. It was actually pretty nice. So, after, arriving at the broken down church, he would basically open the door as he would say this. Miss Hestia, are you here? As Hestia would say this. Ah, you're finally here. Nice to meet you. The name's Hestia, and you must be Belle. Belle Cunell, right? As she would say this. He would say this. Yes. Now, can I please join your familia? As she would say this. Sure, obviously. And who are these? She would say, as Bo would say this. Well, that's the thing. Well, let me just explain. After a bit of explanation, she would say this. So they're basically your servants, and they basically work as your, sort of like your own type of familia? As Bo would say this. I guess you could say that, but they only serve under me for some odd reason. As Emiya would say this. Yeah, the name is Emiya, but you can just call me Nameless, which is what I prefer to call myself, but Master is only allowed to call me Emiya for obvious reasons, he would say. As, Melusine would say this. The name's Melusine. Nice to meet you, she would say. As Burgeist would step up, as she would say this. I am Burgeist, Knight of the used-to-be fairy round table, she would say. As, after hearing this little information, Bell would say, thinking to himself, Knights of a fairy round table. That seems a bit weird, he would say. As she would say, nice to meet you, Burgeist, Emiya, and Melusine. As after saying that, she would say this. Now, Belle, you're gonna be, it's time for you to get ready to become a new member, or at least my first member, of my familia, she would say. And so, after being told of this, Belle was told to basically go on his back and take off his, shirt. Which, let's just say it was a bit weird for everybody there. Except for, Belle and, Hestia, because, it's sort of normal in their world, but for the rest, they just think it's a bit weird. Even though their world is pretty much fucked up themselves. I mean, seriously, calling magic and magecraft different things is a bit fucking weird. But it does sort of make sense. If you're a fate lunatic like me. So, as after, the whole ritual where she pricks her finger, or puts some blood on her, or, grabs a vial of her own blood and pours it into Belle's back, Belle would be branded as a member of the Hestia Familia. And after doing so, Belle would be fully initiated into the Hestia Familia. As Belle would say this. So, I'm finally a part of your familia, eh? And I'm your first, he would say. She would say this. Yeah, I guess so. Anyway, you're gonna be sleeping over there with the rest of your heroic spirits, I guess you could say, she would say, as one of them would say this. Yeah, it's a bit weird to be calling us that, so just call us his friends, he would say, as one would say this. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Said, her, aka Hestia. And so, all of them would decide to go to sleep, except for all three of the servants, because they basically don't really need to sleep this time. So, they would decide to, do some things, like some different types of things. Specifically, fixing up the place. Specifically, setting up some of the, chairs, even cleaning some of the area. And so, we basically end off the episode right there. So yeah, Belle is going to be, there sleeping with, sleeping right next to, to Hestia. Not like, actually sleeping right in the same bed, but more like, nearby. So yeah, so that is basically what happened. This is basically the end of this episode. And so, I hope you liked the video, comment, and subscribe. And I hope to see you guys next time. Bye-bye!